Okay, I think I'm live. Well, I had some audio issues where, for some reason, I don't know why they keep changing the settings when you've been gone for quite a while. But for some reason, the microphone in my webcam didn't receive well. So I had to try this wireless microphone in a headset. I have no clue if you can hear what I'm saying. But nevertheless, I'm here. I'm here. Well, yeah, I've been gone for like, is it like 3 weeks or something? Oh, at least 2 weeks. Times goes so fast when you stop being a regular on YouTube. I did try and record a lot of, uploads, but I kept having these hour-long interruptions. So when I return to my table, I need to pack it down and get ready for work next day. And then unpacking it and continuing was, the mojo is just not the same. So I never returned. So most of the small uploads that I planned to record and upload to YouTube, I just simply deleted it because, yeah. Ugh. Anyway, but now I was thinking about I want to go live, show my face to let you guys know that I'm still here. And I don't really have a plan. I've been knowing that whole week that I wanted to do a live this weekend. I don't have anything in particular in my head. So I was thinking, why not just show you my glue book, right? We see them all over. Glue books, they are like a, a very creative tool, not only to utilize all your scraps, but also to have like your own personal idea book. So if you like a composition of colors, especially like matching colors or like a theme or something, an image that sparks joy, then you can glue it into a book, right? And my glue book is exactly that. It's like an inspiration board. So I think I wanted to call it my inspiration glue book board. It's like, and what is an inspiration board? It's a place you go where you get a ton of eye candy that reminds you of why you love what you're doing. It's a place where you can drop down your own tips and tricks that you don't want to forget. And for me, it's turned into a tool that's going to give me back lost mojo. So if I don't feel like painting something or, um, you know, work in a journal, because I'm like Sandra, most of the drawings that are going into my journals, I want to complete them and I want them to kind of be finished before turn the page to the next drawing. So having a place where you have unfinished pages that you can go on and add to and stuff is just really a nice outlet for being creative. My glue book is built up around the paper pack from Stamperia called Ateliers des Artistes. It was gifted to me by Kathy Arbor, and then later on, Sandra gifted to me some rice paper that's belong to this collection. It is so yummy. I mean, the minute I saw this paper pad, I just knew that it sparked interest to my mojo. I remember I told Kathy Arbor that, oh my god, if I had a paper pack like this, I would just look at the pages and be inspired to go create myself. It kind of embrace everything I love about our hobby, from swatching to just seeing like art supplies. And there is just something really, you know, there is a lot of pretty pattern papers out there. But for me, there are so many of these pages that are just really useful. So just the fact that every single page speaks to me, just tells me about that this is and will forever be the most the best paper pad that I've ever seen in my whole life. So of course I cherish it, and I got a project planned for this when I finally get brave enough to cut into it. I mean, look at this. Look at this. How can you not? I mean, for me, this is not realistic. It's like something I could maybe do. It's not like too super like photorealism, so it gives me motivation to try and replicate some of the things. So yeah, and these pictures where you just take photos of your art supplies or table in a huge mess, I have always been attractive to those kind of pages when I'm looking in art journals, or those art magazines, books where author spent the two first pages showing their supply. I've always been attracted to that kind of clutter. So yeah, everything in this paper pad is just so beautiful. Stamperia, they really upped the ante this year. Also last year. Look at this. This is just so cool. This is so cool. Yeah, my plan is eventually to decorate a guest book that I bought a while ago. Let me grab it. It's this guest book here. It's a party planner, but I like the setup of this book. Comes here with an envelope, and then it comes with two booklets that you actually can take out. So it's like a faux Midori style with an elastic band here. So you can take these whole booklets out. That kind of, you know, it's just a nice feature that you can take it out and work just with this tiny book on your desk surface, and then put it back into your album. In here there are like small pockets already, really likable. Can you just imagine those matted with that yummy Stamperia paper pad? This book here, a journal if you can say so, comes is tucked in with this elastic right here. But yeah, one day I am going to use this as some sort of an art journal and utilize all the features it have with tucks in spots, pockets, and dress it up totally in the Stamperia paper pad. So thanks to Sandra and Kathy Arbor, I have this project that I can jump into. But guess what? I'm working with the papers. So as long as I'm working with the papers, I don't want to use the original sheet until I'm kind of done, you could say. So what I do is I take photocopies of this paper pad and utilize in my Inspiration Board glue book. My glue book is not like a journal. I found a very good offer at a supermarket actually. For 15 Danish kroner, that's the same as like what, $2 or something. I bought this 50 sheet paper pad, and it's just rainbow colors, two sheets of each. So I don't know if you can imagine. I was looking at this and I was thinking, oh, it's such a shame to break it up because it's rainbow formation. So I was just thinking about the color wheel, and that, oh, it could be cool to leave these pages inside this and work with this as a journal. And it's got like a pretty big surface, so when you do like a double spread, when you're having quite a decent big huge double spread for, yeah, a nice surface to work on. So it's not too small, and I don't think that it's too big when it's opened up in the table. So what I did was that, of course, when I find a good deal like this, and this is like a steal of a deal, $2 for 50 sheets, like Yeah, that's just awesome. And it's 135 GSM. So it's a bit thicker than copy paper. I think it's twice as thick. So it is a sturdy substrate to work on. And it's like hot pressed, but a little bit tooth to it. So it will receive glue from a glue stick very well. So throughout my glue book, I have only used glue stick and not matte medium because the glue stick kind of like working on a surface like this. So yeah, I just started building my glue book, and now I want to show you the progress. And I really hope that you understand that this is not like a like pretty journal or something. It's like a tool. Oops, my headset untouched itself. I so hope that I got sound. I'll never know until the stream is over and I can see the recorded. Okay, this is my tool. It's a book where I collect a lot of eye candy and things that will inspire me if I ever end up in an art slump. So, okay, let me see if I can see my chat somehow. Oh no, I cannot see any chat. I don't know if anybody is in here. Um, Welcome to Top Chat. I don't seem to be able to get any live chat going on. Okay, I think I will just go into, why not, my YouTube channel and see if I actually have somebody in chat on YouTube. No, I don't. I got like zero watching my stream. It's okay. It's okay. I think I can pull it through. Okay, let's start. Like I said, it's an inspiration board. So I named my whole journal Inspiration Board 2021. And the first thing that I did was that I glued in this page right here because it just really speaks joy to me. I mean, all these colors are just so yummy. And then I chose to the first page to show what I work on right now because I got a lot of art on the couch going on because I got some issues with my legs at the moment. So I took a leather bound notebook and then I'm just sit on the couch and do watercolors in it. And because I don't have like access to a computer the same way when I'm at my work desk, I kind of get, you know, distracted from being focused on a an image. So I kind of cheat. I take a washi tape and then I just glue a single washi tape on the top of the page of my little notebook and then try and replicate what's on the washi tape. So in that way, I can kind of multitask. I can follow something on the TV screen and then I can sit and art like not mechanically, but you know, everything is given to me up here in the little, you could say, stamp sized washi. So I just having a really good time arting like that and feeling creative at the same time. And I like to put stuff like this into my inspiration glue board glue book because I hopefully will not forget how to, you know, be creative by doing these kind of things in the future. Because to tell you the truth, it is actually annoying if you take out a journal. And then can you imagine how you just keep on dragging stash from your room into your living room because you want to watch something on TV at the same time while you're working in a journal? And then you need some gesso, and then you need some new two crayons, and then you suddenly need your polychromers, you know, and you keep on dragging stash into the room. So I was looking out for something easy to do with just one medium. and I chose that to be watercolor because I can't really picture myself using acrylic paint on my leather couch. Ugh. So, and at this time, I'm watching on the Disney Channel the Once Upon a Time TV series. I think it's in like 7 seasons or something. So I also like to write stuff like that. So it kind of brings me back to what I did. And I'm trying here to draw a messy table of like the best, like you're having a cup of coffee, maybe a slice of pie, you have your watercolors out, your colored pencils. Just this whole thing is just like inspiration to me. And then I named it Art Till You Fart. So, yeah. On this page, I'm talking more about my wish. This is Danish for wish. Because I wish that I will have time and health and ideas, because that's what's going to bring me forward in what I'm doing. And I realized lately that this portion called health is something that most of us take for granted. Also, could be time, right? And then I just wish that I will stay in this state of life where I still got these three items here to kind of, you know, follow me until the end of time, because then I would never be bored. And then I try to illustrate them up here with time, health, and ideas. I use this doll because it is a tool. If you want to draw something, you can manipulate and sketch him out in different ways. And this doll right here is going to be a figure that goes on as an item throughout this glue book. So yeah, but I love this spread right here, and I love the way that I kind of utilize the paper in bits and pieces, and then manage to make like a cohesive page spread. So yeah, this spread is dedicated to all my journals. I do have a big love for art journals. I know that I sometimes bitched about, oh, how come that I got like 11 ongoing journals? It stresses me out. It feels like I am neglecting some of the journals, and I kind of find it annoying grabbing an old journal that's like 2 or 3 years old, because the drawings in the beginning of the book, I have looked at them several times when I'm flapping open the journal. So I just get annoyed, why can't I just finish off this journal and start a fresh one? But okay, I really have to admit, I love having a selection of multiple journals, each with their specific purpose: one for acrylic, one for rectangular landscape, one for, um, yeah, Inktense pens. The moleskin one that I got, the sizing on the pages makes Inkten pencils, which are these one right here, work very well. So I kind of have several journals that got used with different mediums for so long now that I kind of know what works best in that paper. So that's actually a plus. So, but here I try to make a journal spread about also including the clock, because time seems to just run by so fast when I am sitting at my art desk. So I kind of draw a lit lamp light to illustrate that I'm sitting in the wee hours of the night. Just to give you an example, right now it's 1:30 at night here in Denmark. I have procrastinating going live whole day. I just realized, oh, I gotta go live. So I just, I'm thinking of just going flipping through this book and then uploading it. Here I dedicated a double spread just to swatching. Swatching may sound like super boring to some people, but to me it has kind of been something that I enjoy doing. Is the second process of the buying purchase behavior that I got. One is to chase down the item that I really can't live without, and then waiting for it to arrive in the mail, and then I unbox it and do a swatch. And then I may put it aside and then take it out and work more serious with it or not. But the swatching part is like the second half of my whole joy when I'm purchasing new stuff. So that's why I have like 2 pages dedicated to swatches. This was just to remind me about, like when I buy things, I do that quick swatching of it. And then there is the second kind of swatches. I have an art buddy called Kathy Arbor, and she kind of keep pushing me to evolve and get better in my can we call it art? So she inspired me to try swatching with complementary colors on top of a very saturated ground swatch. So I glue in these 2 pieces of paper because it instantly reminds me of her, and I don't know, I just like that a lot. So, and this is also a page about swatching because after watching Lindsay the Frugal Crafter and her swatch book, her swatch journals, she peels off the labels from this is just from watercolor pens because there's a lot of info standing on them, like pigment numbers, light fastness, the name of the pen if you want to reorder it. And I kind of like her thick swatch journal because it's just really colorful, and it got the essence of this, like a lot of colors in rainbow formation and then all these stickers. So yeah, and I love this page spread. Not only for, I mean, just to look at it. So if I one day don't feel like creating at all, this journal's purpose is fulfilled just with this spread alone. I mean, the bright colors and just speaking to me about you may not want to go and paint and sketch a real drawing today, but at least you can take out your not your trash, your stash, and then swatch. Then you got a brush that's dipped into some pigments, and you're almost getting started. So yeah, love it. And now comes a section in my glue book that's more about the tips and tricks I was talking about that I don't ever want to forget. One of them is talking about oil paints. So there's like oil tubes here. I have to keep remind myself the fat over lean rule because sometimes I start out an oil painting and I started with the intention of finishing it that same day, doing what they call an alla prima. But then, I get interrupted and then I have to put it aside. And then I kind of regret that I didn't dilute my first painting day because then I could come back the second day, finish it off with just straight paint from the tube, because then the tube paint would be the fat over the lean. So that's actually a mistake that I've done with a lot of my oil paintings, that I just paint straight out of the tube and don't dilute it with Gamsol or linseed oil because I think I can finish it in one day. But guess what? Then there is a very important thing that I think will improve my art a ton, and it is if I can include more um, contrast and figure out how to crop it. Because I tend to not think about cropping so much. So if you give me like a blank sheet, I will immediately start in the middle of the sheet instead of thinking if my drawings would be more interesting if I cropped it differently. And that's why I have this page spread right here to remind me that if I had like a view catcher, maybe my art would be more, I don't know, interesting to look at if I could figure out how to crop it correctly. And also, I tend to be a little bit cautious when I paint, so have a lack of dark contrast. So, being brave to put in the dark contrast is just a reminder I keep having to tell myself. This page spread here is about perspective. I have a lot of issues with perspective because I like to work with a journal on a desk. So I get like foreshortening issues. So lately I have invested in some desk easels where I can put my journals up, have them stand like this. And it has helped me tremendously just having a different setup before I start the sketch. And I've learned that as long as my sketch is okay, I can then put down the journal flat on a table and add in the colors, because then at least the sketch lines are somehow more correct. But still, I'm having issues with understanding perspective, especially the kind of not the frog perspective, but more like the bird perspective. Like here, when you're seeing this guy, his head is closer and then his body is supposed to go down in a cylinder shape. Those kind of things are like, you see this guy from the top. For me, it's so difficult to do this. I would rather that he had like this perspective. So he's turned so you see more of his body. But then you have to turn everything down in the drawing this exact angle. And some of my drawings, he is standing like this, but the rest of the stuff is like this. So I'm struggling with having two kind of perspective lines in my work. I can see it, and I bet that if I didn't stress it out on some of my journals, you guys wouldn't maybe not be bothered too much about it. But that's one of the things that I wish that I took more time with my sketches and freaking just drew in those perspective lines. So yeah. Hi Amber. Oh my god, welcome to my stream. I'm sitting here talking to the void all alone. I am showing my glue book where I use the paper pad from Stamperia, and it's the paper pad called Atelier des Artistes. It was gifted to me by Kathy Arbor, and then I got rice papers from Sandra. And because I just really, really love that paper pad, I have dedicated it to this journal. So I'm just going through my glue book, and it's got like the glue book essence where you find an image you think is nice, so you just glue it in, and then hopefully you build up a page spread that's going to be cohesive when you're done with it. Thank you. My medium of choice is watercolor. And I think it's because I'm a little bit lazy. I like that I can just flap it out, use it, close it, and then store it away. And if I get messy on my clothes or work surface, I can wipe it off with a baby wipe. And the brush care, oh, I'm so evil to my brushes. But it's because after working with acrylic and oils, I realized that watercolor brushes, yeah, you don't really have to wash them with soap and water every time have used them. So for me, because I've worked with other mediums, I kind of realized that watercolor is such an easy medium if you're kind of lazy and just want to art, smack it up, move it away, and then not have so much to clean. So this spread right here is dedicated to my love for watercolor, and I found this. It's like teardrops in a colored teardrops because it's like water. I don't know if it makes sense. And then because this glue book is a journal where I can go back and work on it. I just left some empty places where I'm supposedly to go back and work with watercolors on these, but I for some reason haven't yet. So this spread here is ripped out of one of my work journals because it got some theory about the color wheel on it, and also because it's got um, some technical terms like tint is when you mix white into your color. Shade is when you mix black into it. And tone, that was the new for me, is when you mix gray in it. And when somebody talks about hue, it's the color name, and the value is from what I showed before, the grayscale. So if this was like the value of black, then you would have like the medium tone down here, and then you would have the light version and the completely dark version. So I guess I just try to, I don't know, work work this worksheet into this book. I love watercolor too. They look so nice. Branching out, but I do. Yeah, me too. I also really think it's like a favorite medium. Uh, thank you. So, um, this spread here is to remind me about the geometric grid. I think it's a very tedious thing when you have to do a portrait from where you've drawn in a grid and then put it up on a big canvas, because there is this trick where you take your grid, which would be like this small piece of paper compared to your big substrate, and then you take the crossing line and throw it up on a bigger sheet, right? So sometimes I just try and sketch without a grid, and that's where my sketches are getting like really off. So learning the geometric grid is just like an easy tool, because then you don't need to have in consideration the proportion from your reference photo and the proportion from your canvas. They don't have to be the same. You can have like a big canvas and a small reference photo and still have a grid that shows exactly where on the substrate things belongs. So the geometric grid was introduced to me by Kathy Arbor. I think it was like 2 years ago, and it's very simple. You can do this without measuring the paper. You simply just start with a cross in the corner, and then you take the center line and the center line here. And from that, you just connect these dots right here. And you can keep building on this grid. Let's say you have like a huge substrate, so the room between these geometric shapes are larger. You can simply keep adding more line work. Can you see how you can just keep, you know, adding more and more lines? So but I think what I mostly do is that I have a loose grid like this, and then if the face is in this area here, I will go in with even more grid lines, where I take this as a square and then divide up into like more grids. Yeah. As I say, I'm horrible with perspective. Yeah, me too. Perspective is the worst for me. That and foreshortening is like, and I immediately know. Sometimes I have streamed and then I have sketched online, like live when I'm live streaming. And because the journal have to lie flat because I'm streaming, I don't really see the perspective issues. But then when the stream is over, I step away from the painting, starting to clean off my table, come back with fresh eyes, and then I just see it, and it's so visually and obviously it's just like an agony in your eyes, and you're thinking, why couldn't I see it when the book was lying flat? But yeah, this whole page spread is just going to be about, remember to take the time to make that darn grid, because it really does make my drawings better. This page spread, because this glue book is all about mojo and being inspired to be creative. this is like the last thing. If everything else fails, there is always shopping therapy. And I know that people are looking really bad at, like enablers and calling it that we are hoarding things. To me, it's not hoarding. And my key rule is that if you can't get your own mojo kicked by yourself, then do watch a ton of haul videos, get enabled, because getting a new toy really is starting all over again with, you know, kicking up your inspiration, because it is fun to watch a new technique, and it is fun to get the items home and try them. So you're also guilty of shopping therapy. Oh, hi, Devon. Hi. I loved your new upload to YouTube, Devon, where you're doing first a walk in the field with your dog, cutting down like real flowers and then jelly printing with them. It is so cool. Devon Rex for Art is also her channel, so go check it out. It's really good. But yeah, this whole drawing here is just about, you know, even though we love our stash, we sometimes need to buy the next inspiration to keep us going. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as, of course, you get your bills paid, right? Then there is something about you have to sketch every day. Sketch your life and put color on it. And this page spread here is a visual spread to tell me that all around me is stuff that I can sketch, because if you only go for like a 3 minute or a 5 minute daily sketch, then you can sketch like everything, right? So I kind of try to make this spread like you would think about like a gallery, like there are several tiers here reminding you of like there's like several rooms, and this person is standing in one room with like all these um, paintings in front of her or him. And then items also, because it is so important to open that book and sketch every single freaking day, and if only for 3 minutes, and who is not able to do that. And then there's something about the story. This page spread here is to remind me to kind of try and add some story into the items that I built into my paintings. And the most obviously idea that I got was like a suitcase. You could make like an ordinary suitcase, but by embellishing it up with stickers showing that it's been out traveling, it's got a story, and also play with the colors. So it's difficult to see, is this a red suitcase or a yellow suitcase? Like like it's difficult to see the original color of this suitcase. So with patina embellishments, playing with colors, you can add story to a dead item. And if you have like living items like a facial, or like here is a teardrop, you can add a lot of feelings into your your facial expressions to give them a story of what they're feeling and where they are in their life. And I think it's difficult for me because I've been painting a lot of pretty faces where it seems to be like the model world, like like no models are smiling when they're walking down the catwalk. So have my journal spread been for quite a while, with this generic kind of cold looking face with no expression in it. So adding wrinkles and playing with the way the eyebrows are positioned to enhance like an expression, kind of, like add a story instead of just that cold face. The one this one that he's going somewhere. Me too. So if there is a feeling, sketch your life, put color on it. We all have, and then I should write story down here. So I tried to take out from the paper pads things that go well with this, the idea of my page spread. So I took out this cutout saying, "Objects with stories to tell become art." So that's how I try to work in the paper collection to fit with my page spread. Okay, now comes the hardest part: composition. Composition. Okay. Um. Yeah, there's a lot to say about composition. I still don't understand it fully, but I do know that I need to stop creating the way that I usually do when I'm presenting with a blank sheet of paper. I need to stop starting smack in the middle of the page, because it's time for me to give a thought about working on composition before I start adding my sketch lines to the paper. So what I did was I simply just took one sheet from the paper collection and try to break it down to see how it's composed. What kind of composition has they used? And the reason why it's so cool to do it with paper pads is because behind every paper pads there is maybe 5 to 10 people who has worked with each image. So nothing is random. Nothing is just leap of fate, or like, how can I say, everything is thought about: the color, the layers, the composition, everything. So it's more transparent on paper pad images to see stuff about composition than it is to take one of my old drawings from my journals and see what went through my mind. Why is this page interesting? Hi, Kathy Berg. Hi, CP. So what I did was that I just took one sheet from the paper pad and tried to break it down. And one of the ways that you can break a composition down is to look at line work. There are 5 basic elements: line, shape, color, texture, and space, right? But look how deliberate this is done. This is really, really awesome. You take this line right here, and you can immediately see that the designer of this image chose to have her focal point above that line cut, right? Then there is this composition where you take 1/3 of each, 1/3 of the page, and it cuts right here. So for some reason, she could have had like a focal point right here, like a hand coming up right there, but the person didn't. Then we are talking about placement, shapes. This is obviously the focal point square where all the details are going to be, and you can like commit murder on the rest of the page. Nobody would notice as long as this square right here is made with perfection. So this top square right here is what's interesting in this composition. And to draw your eyes towards this top square, they are manipulating with color. So they put in a block of bright color right here with a different texture, which is the written paper, book paper. And then this important square right here, they flipped it in half, putting a block of color, a block of the white. So now everything you everything is drawn towards this square right here. And down here we got all the texture. And texture is like abstraction, like just going to give you a feeling, like remind you of like a really floral garden, or a kimono with like a wonderful silky floral print. So that's why it's blurred in and mixed together. You can't really see where is the sleeve of her kimono, where does the fan she's holding, and where does the garden starts. You can't really see where those things start and ends. So the composition is very deliberately done, like making this line here, having texture down here, having your focal image on top of that line, making all your hard work up here in this square. This square right here is the most interesting part of this image. Yeah, am I losing you guys? I'm Mary Berry. Thank you all for coming to my stream. Okay, so I took another image from the paper pad because, like I said before, every images from pattern papers has been worked on, shifted hands between 5 or 10 people who is working with layers and placing things the most interesting way, because paper pads is eye candy, and if the eye candy don't work, it will not sell. So every tiny embellishment, tag, image in a paper pad needs to be like spot on, you know. So I did the same. I took some few lines to try and pull the composition apart from this image that probably could be from Gauguin or Van Gogh. And then I realized that up here in this corner right here, he put an element with a lot of detail on it, more hue to the color compared to the center of the 3 other flowers. So this is like the flower that's going to be the focal point where your eyes are drawn towards. And then in the opposite, can you see there is like an opposite triangle? He put the second flower and the third flower over here. I think just to hit the golden rules of 3. And then on the dead spaces, they can do the layering that they have done with where they graphically put in layers of paper and other stuff. So it's just interesting to look at. I realized on one of the other images, this one right here, maybe I should show how they look in real life so you can see them more. Like here they are. This image right here, this is the image I'm going to talk about right now. They used a circular composition to create this image and circular compositions always start with a circle that somehow hits either like on this what's it called, square right here, where all the sides are hitting the frame of your canvas. But most canvases are not like a quadrant like this. They're like more like rectangular. So your circle must hit like one of uh, 2 of the frames of your canvas, and then you can scoot the circle up and down. And here it's so obviously to me that they had a circular composition where the outer circle is here, and then there is an inner circle, and the center of the inner small circle is actually the center of this flower exactly. And when you draw that circle, you will see that they have chosen only to put white flowers inside that circle, and outside the circle, all the flowers suddenly get tinted with a heavier yellow, going like almost orange. So can you see it? Like here is the center of the circle, white flowers, and then yellow flowers. And does it matter? I don't know. I don't know if it matters, but it's interesting to break a picture down and see that's the thought behind this. Then if you take the line work here, you will see to make sure that this vase of very heavy flowers doesn't tip over, they need something to anchor it. So they did it by taking some different colored flowers on the top, matching the width of the vase, kind of give you eyes a fake sense of a pillar to stabilize the vase. And I think that's super clever, because sometimes when you are drawing a glass or a vase with flowers, your flower bouquet spreads out with such a volume that it looks heavy, and then you might have like a tiny glass vase. But we know that in real life, the vase with the water is heavier than the flowers, so the flowers will never tip over the vase. But visually on a painting, it can look like that. It can look like the flowers are spreading out so much, so they look so heavy that uh, the ending of the vase seems so fragile. And then also perspective to present a flower the best. When you paint flowers, you don't paint them like this where you look directly. You slant the perspective so that you get more of the top crown of the vase and less of the bottom of the vase, because that's not interesting, right? You want to see the flowers. so so in a way, I kind of totally understand the composition of this, where you got a perspective that's slanted, and then using circular compositions where you deliberately work with your colors in and outside the circle. I hope I'm not babbling on. No, I did not go to art school. This is just my clue book. Okay. Okay, but then let's talk about this circular composition, because I really would like to learn more about how to place my sketches on a piece of paper to add more interest. So I made this drawing for myself in a way of how to use a circular composition. So if you take a circle on a rectangular canvas, and I got a ton of those, right? Then if I draw in some lines, it's actually like a star shape, just using the corners. I can match out this triangle here that's supposed to be space, right? Space. So this should be like the skyline where there's not much going on to rest your eyes. The end of the circle must be like dead spaces. I mean, you don't put like something important down here or a bird up here that's going to distract your eyes. You need dead spaces where you have either foliage, branches that's just emerging into a dark hue, a ground. And then right here where these lines are crossing, you can put your focal points. So here I try to remind myself about this by making a guy holding two balloons. You could make a guy holding two balloons in a ton of ways. If I didn't think about composition, I would place him in the middle, facing front, and then the balloons up here, because that's kind of how, I don't know. That's just how I usually would think. But because I am aware of composition, I know that it would be more interesting to have him doing something in action, like in movement. So it would be wise to put him with his head in this focal point, giving his body some action where he's moving, and then the balloons could follow this line right here. Doo doo doo. Okay. So I have been fooling around a ton with composition, and I kind of realized that, oh my God, there are guidelines that can help you create a drawing. So here we got a frying pan on a kitchen table with a jar, right? Look how the kitchen table is just given. If you make these perspective lines, it's gifted to you that the most interesting view of the kitchen table would be this line right here. And the best way to present the frying pan and what's inside of the frying pan is this angle where the handle is going upwards and away of the paper, or either attracting like a line into the frying pan. You could have put the handle here, or you could have put the handle down here or over here. It's a round circular frying pan. The handle could go everywhere. But if you follow the ground thought about perspective lines, I can kind of see how this is freaking a calm composition that allows your eyes to travel into the center of the frying pan. And I can see how that angle of the perspective, the way where you're looking at the table is interesting compared to if I just have pushed the table all across the page, so like all this would have been the table. And I can kind of understand how you need this space up here of just empty space. So the best way to place the jar with an open lid is below that crossing diagonal line. Does it make any sense? I really just like it. And then I'm looking at the landscapes because I find it difficult to find um, an image when I'm outdoor sketching that would be a page spread. I'm looking at buildings and windows, and I find them attractive to try and sketch and paint because there's a lot of texture in building and windows that has been like aging in the environment. But I mean, how interesting is it to just paint a window, right? I keep thinking that I need a person to stand in front of the building, an exciting animal, or a fabulous sunset. But I know that if I try and put those things into the drawing, they take away attention from what I really wanted to make, which was a rendition of the building and the texture in the window. So I read up about it and I learned about something called the L shape. And it's about taking an L where your foliage should not go above this block over here, but it can kind of frame in your landscape by this L shape here. And then your door, your window, your mailbox can be in this area here, because that would be a natural way to have like a focal interesting point right here, and then add some calmness by having space. I call it space. Space is where you just don't really have anything going on, like up here. Like here, this is space, like empty space, but where you just use texture to make it not just a blank sheet of paper. So I'm really trying to understand those things. And one of the things that I struggle with when I'm outdoor making landscapes is to get depth in my landscapes. It feels so two-dimensional. So this line right here, first it makes you think about a stream of water, but you can actually also use it with fields. So you can take like make squares of poppy fields or uh, other farmer fields, or you can even take out a square to add in buildings to put like a small village or squares of forest. So I try to think about this C shape from now on when I'm doing my landscapes, because it gives that depth into the picture, right? And then we're talking about landscapes, and I have had a numerous boring way of making lots of landscapes where I tend to take the center of the page to place my sun. And I think I will really avoid doing that in the future, because I was reading up about this grid right here, and it's talking about stop putting things in the center, put them in the side of the substrate. So I don't know if you guys can see, but I actually tried to draw a man walking right here to show how I use that sketch line right there to put in the guy. And you can transfer that into landscape painting by stop putting the sun in the center of the painting. Put it into the side and make sure that you got something on this other grid right here to balance it out. It could be like a huge tree or a huge building, a castle. It could be like a sail from a boat on the water, just something to level out this focal point right here. And the whole theory about all this is to make your drawings more interesting, I think. Okay, let's see. Uh, I have enough trouble just drawing something that looks like it is supposed to, much less worrying about where to place. That is so funny that you're saying that, CB, because I'm still there, you know? I want to draw something and I think it's tough to just draw it. But now when I realize that composition can help me, so if I place things in a interesting place in my drawing, then it might take away the lack of skills that I got inside the drawing itself. Does it make any sense? Like I don't know. I'm just yeah. uh let's see. I definitely have trouble grasping all these things for sure. It's like I know it exists, but not something I think to consider. You know what, Amber? That's exactly why I have this clue book because I too know that those things is out there, but never really. Uh, I found it difficult to subtract and utilize in my paintings. It is so difficult for me. So right here on this spread, I actually try to work with the 5 basic rules of compositions, and that is line. Oh, I got them written down right here if you want to write them down yourself. Line, shape, color, texture, space. So up here I got my triangle of space where it's just white. On the sides here I got my texture, and the lines I choose to compose the ballerina's legs by using the lines. This leg is following this line. I place her in 1/3 of the drawing instead of in the center. So I chose that this line right here is going to be the placement of the ballerina, and her arms are resting on the line work. And the color, like I said, this is my empty space. This is my texture. So I just took in colors to divide the spaces. So if I was to paint a ballerina, this is supposedly to be the most interesting way of painting her compared to just have put her in the smack in the middle. Hmm. Does it work? I don't know. So I'm thinking in this clue book here, I will try and really work with this theory, and then I don't know. That's a way of incorporating it into my work. Let's see. Lack of skills, my butt. I'm too hard on myself. Okay. Okay. Oh, thank you. I just don't. I just don't think. It's just. I just don't. I take nice words really bad. I get embarrassed. So I'm sorry if I'm really bad at saying thanks in return. But I am really happy that you write nice words. Thank you. But okay, now I showed you guys my glue book, and I'm just flipping through it really quickly. It's like eye candy. I tried to utilize the paper pack to show and tell everything I love about our hobby, why I like colors, why it matters to remember some of the tip and tricks to make my journals more interesting to look at. So far, this is what I have utilized the paper pack from Stamperia to. Okay, and here it is. And now we are here. Okay. So my next drawing, of course, is going to understand and learn how to work with these lines some more. So I ripped out these pages from the paper pack, and I can see that if I have this diagonal line right here, I could actually place this piece of paper right down in the corner, and then this door would be under that line. So that would be a good one, right? And then I have this paper that I could place on the opposite side, where funny, there is this focal point line that where you take the center of your page, make a line to the corner, and then you take a diagonal line to the other corner, and then right here is a focal point. And it is so lucky to me that if I glue down this sheet on this corner, the texture of what's already on the pattern paper will follow this diagonal line with, you could say, like messy things. Can you see how it's just like it was meant to be in a corner like here? So it can kind of build up to this focal point that's going to be right there. So I was thinking, how about trying to make a drawing with these line works in the back of our head, this theory, if you can call it, and see what kind of drawing that we get out of it. If it's going to be like as interesting as they kind of promise us that it will be. So hopefully you guys are up for it. I love the way you carry the wooden model through the lots of pages. Oh yeah, this guy right here. Yeah, I've had him for a while. I don't really know how to use him. There is a lot of things that he can't do. Like he can't keep his composure. Like, I don't know. Of course now he can because he's on camera. Then he suddenly like is really cooperative. But it helps me. Like I had this drawing where he's sitting from the back, like here. I simply just place him like how he would sit on a table, working on a journal with his head like slanted down because he's looking at something. And then I just have this to look at when I draw him. It makes it easier for me to paint. So I really use these wooden guys. So there is a plastic one that bends a lot more places and has different hands. Yeah, that's true. It is. Oh my God, you're here. Hi, Sandra. Thank you very much for the rice paper to the Atelier paper pad from Stamperia. I have utilized the paper pad to make myself a glue book. So I'm just showing you guys my glue book, I guess. So, um, oh, thank you, Devin. No worries. I feel so sad that I haven't been live for quite a while, but I've just been procrastinating and things came up, and suddenly time just flew. And then I was thinking that I didn't have anything in mind that I wanted to work on. So why not just show you guys how I work in my glue book? Because it is all about art, color, learning. So it might be relevant to show on the stream. Okay, I once saw a person ask how to use your glue sticks when they're down like this. What I do is I take a spatula and then I simply scrape out the glue. And then with the spatula, you're able to squeeze it down and transport it in a very slick coat to your paper, and you can actually control it quite well and stop at the edges if you wish to, just like with the glue stick itself. So I never have like a total waste when my glue sticks getting used up. I can actually use up every single glue in that stick just by doing this. Okay, let's get this page down here. Uh, let's see. Oh, the terminal technique. Oh, yeah, that was so cool. We had a lot of those rolls back when we had the physical store. And now I regret that we kicked them all out. I remember gifting some of them to a nearby bar because they had the same width in their printer. So at least they went to good use. But I should have saved like 2 or 3 rolls for myself. But I never thought that I would use those rolls ever. But it's fun how our hobby just shows us that we can use a ton of things as long as our imagination is there. Okay, but now I know I'm putting down too much glue, but it's just because I want to get rid of this glue stick and throw it out. So now I know it's like totally scratched out. Hi, Barb Chicken Pot Pie Society. Love that name. Welcome to my channel. Okay, as you can see, I simply just scrape it out, and it's really easy. It's not difficult at all. I don't get messy fingers or anything. So I think it's a cool way of using up the whole stick. I like glue sticks for these kind of papers because regular glue, I got that glitter glue, and when I have to transport it to a big sheet like this, it tends to already dry up in the edges. So that's annoying, right? And then if I use a wetter glue than the glitter glue because it has much more longer opening time, then I get a very wet page. So it's like the glue takes eons to dry up. But with sticks, I find that they are very quickly drying up. So it doesn't really leave like a wet page or anything. So I've been really fond of using the glue sticks. Yes, the glue dries so fast. And the way that we were taught to glue was to just put down some gloves and then spread it out with a credit card. You can't do that with glitter glue. The opening time is just so tiny. Okay, now I got my pages down. I just need baby wipe to get the glue out of my fingers. Where did I put that? Okay, I need to find my baby wipes. Okay, give me a second. I have to bring out a whole new one. Really? Hmm. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I needed to get my gesso I think that I would like to just gesso lightly the background just to make a page. It's, oh, just a minute. Hold on, I'm having issues with my headset. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope that it didn't say make any scratchy sounds. I'm having issues with the headset. You know what? My webcam didn't recognize the microphone in the webcam itself. So I'm working with a headset with a mic on it. Not really used to that. Okay. The gesso does make the pages soak up some moist. So I want to go in with two coats. The first one, hopefully trying to keep it as sheer and thin as possible. Letting that dry, go in second coat. Because if I go in thick with the first coat, it takes just like forever to dry up. So just trying to go in thin, thin, thin. And of course, it's like a red back paper. Uh, so it's like a little bit difficult to cover it up. If this was in a, a journal where I was, I want to say pretty painting, is that a word? I would be more like careful and, you know, yeah. So I'm a little bit sloppy in my glue book because it's just a tool. I don't know. I think most of you guys have already now figured out that my glue book is more like my own tool art book to give inspiration and remind me about the things that I grabbed of tips and tricks along my journey so far. Okay, I think I need a heat gun to this, and then we can go in with the last coat. So heat gun. Oh, thanks for telling me about the sound is good. That's perfect. I, I like the the comment about how to gesture without getting anything on your sleeve. That is an issue, right? Okay, check this out. Now we have to think. We have to think in the line work. There are like diagonal lines up here, which means that I need a space up here where nothing is happening. So in that space, that triangle space, I want to cover it totally with white. That makes sense, right? So let's try and follow the tips about composition and see if it helps on this drawing at all. So I will go in coating that triangle of white. And here I go in thick because I have no intention of doing a ton of artwork on top of this gesso at all. It has to be a space where your eyes rest, nothing, no focal points. Um, so I can apply the gesso a bit thicker because I will not be working on top of this for a while. So it will give it time to dry up before we need to work with it. And here, down here, I will just kind of twirl it out seamlessly so it's not that obviously that I made myself a triangle of light. Bye, Devon, and thank you so much for dropping in. It means a lot. Thank you so much. Have a nice dinner. Okay, we have to think about our lines. Remember on this drawing here, we had a focal point where her head should be, highlights should be. But since I'm working with a light space, I cannot have that bing of highlight right there on the crown of her head. So I have to work with my color values to show that this is like a bright place. I like to work with ballerinas when it comes to composition because only ballerinas got crazy postures. It's very unusual to see people in these postures when you're in the supermarket. So if you if you like to paint people and want to learn about perspective and the body, ballerinas is the way to go in my universe. So of course I want to make a ballerina. I want to avoid painting in these lines, drawing them in, because I don't think that I can erase them. So I'm just gonna eyeball that right here is here. So I'm gonna make myself a cross right here. And then I know that I have, oh yes, a ruler. So if I put my ruler and just give myself a little bit of sketch line, not a lot, just a little bit. And then we have anchor, that anchor line. Almost, you have it in the pattern paper right there. We have an anchor line going straight to the ground in a 90-degree angle to secure your person in the mirror. And then there is another perspective rule about, can you see on this image right here where you're supposed to make a triangle and then a circular to get what they call the golden section? They lift up the triangle just a smidgen from the actual ground line of the substrate. So if I make sure that her toe is lifted up the same, it would be about here. So instead of letting the foot go all the way down like I did here, I will be able to give myself a place where the toe ends. So when I paint in her shadow, it will be more natural to look at than this point here where the shadow is disappearing because the paper is ending. So I wonder if Da Vinci would have used a ballerina instead of the male figure. Maybe. An excuse to use naked people. So I think he was thinking, nah, I'd rather choose the naked people instead of the ballerina. My camera is a little bit, now it's slanted the same way as my book. Okay, so let's start this. I was thinking about a ballerina where you could imagine that her arms is following this grid line here, so her head will be above this focal point. I don't care. I just know that if her arms goes out like this, then the bone, skeletal bone in her shoulders would be parallel with the line, and it might look nice. So the way that you can use a figure like this wooden guy here is to kind of place him, and the head is like, I don't know what's front and back on this head, but there is a screw in the neck of his head. I rarely twist it, but yeah, we can do it for just today. Standing like this, and then maybe doing that classic ballerina posture. Can we picture? We can work with this, right? Yeah, I think we should work with this. So what I got going on for this drawing right now is that I managed to divide this paper into thirds. So this door here represent 1/3 of the paper, 1/3 of the paper, and this is the center of the paper. And we're gonna place our figure on this page, this place right here. So already now I am taking choices that I wouldn't take if I was working in my art journal, because I would definitely paint my ballerina in the center of my page. So already now we are we're getting better. So I'm just holding this like this. And this is where I should put my journal on a desk easel to avoid getting foreshortening. But I am streaming, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm simply just gonna try and do it. Just do it. I'm looking at the torso, upper torso right now, simply just drawing in the shapes. And I know that some of the shapes are not correct, but this is just a sketch. So I promise myself that I will not um, erase any lines or regret any lines. I will just keep going on, and then just like Fimo clay, try and use my sketch lines as you would with clay, where you make them wider, thicker, um, but just to get the first, and this is sometimes the scariest part, getting those first sketch lines down, because you think that you have to make them correct from the get-go, but they never really are. So basically, and it feels so easy because I got these diagonal lines to follow. This is a hand. And this is where the doll helps me. Can you see how the ball here is, it's actually a round ball inside the doll, but I can see how the torso got a different angle and the bottom of the torso does not. So what I do is that I sketch in the bottom torso, because I know that that one having a horizontal angle. So it makes it easier for me how to put in the curve of the, how much of the ball should be showed. Oh my God. I feel that I make like no sense of all. Okay, the butt ends at the head. So I actually need to widen this quite a bit. And now I can have the foot position like this, or I can make it like a ballerina where she's standing on her toe. I think I would go for the toe ballerina. And then if I'm like really lucky, my proportions will make sure that I end exactly where I want to, right there. That was like one foot. The other foot, or leg, I should call it a leg. Because it's a ballerina, I want her, let's just make this a her, a she. I want her to take a stand, like, I don't know. I think it's a little bit difficult figuring out. I got this this line here, so they need to end at the same spot. Okay. Let me see. Is there anything in chat? Let's see. Hi, Ellie K. Welcome to my stream. Oh, hi, Kathy Arbor. Oh my God, I can't believe that you're here. Kathy, thank you. Thank you so much for gifting me the paper pad of Stamperia Atelier des Arts. Is it called that? I have been working with these images and the paper pad itself for quite a while, actually. And I turned it into a glue book because when I first saw this paper pad, I just immediately knew that it sparked joy to me to just look at the images. And I immediately knew that in my universe, it could be eye candy to spark some inspiration if I ever was in an art funk. So today, because I wanted to stream and I didn't really have anything that I wanted to paint, I am working in my inspiration board turned into a glue book. And I'm using the paper pad that you gifted me. So you might want to see the beginning of this stream where I'm showing my glue book. And then I flip through every page talking about what inspired me on that page and why I'm doing it like that. Oh, thank you so much. It was really, when I saw that paper pad, I just knew that, oh my God, it just have the whole essence of everything I think about when it comes to joy about our supplies, our stash, the way we, like to decorate our art room, and it was just awesome. So, okay, so now I got the sketch down, and now I have to think about where is the light supposed to come from. I would like the light to come from this side here. So what I do is I simply just take a yellow. I sketched with a brownish ochre. So I'm just taking a yellow because now I know that I need to remind myself that some of these areas must be sort of in the light. So I put in the light. You know what? Working with Intense is a little bit annoying because it takes a long time when you're streaming. So I'm gonna switch to new color tools because they glide so fast on the paper. So it's going to be like a little bit of a sloppy sketch, but hey, this exercise is more about the composition, right? So, and notice how this figure is not dressed yet. I like to work like that. Actually, that's why I like to paint naked people. So here I'm simply just putting in that bright color just just to remind myself that we need some of the light here. Okay, now I can go in with the mid-tone, and the mid-tone for this wood guy could be, yeah, something in the middle. Let's see. Sometimes the papers is great for reference and inspiration. It is, and you know why? It is because it's not like realism. I can see myself sketch and make these, you know? So it's a place in between, like not realism and not like a an abstract sketch or something. It's like in between. So I really love that. And I'm not so an average user of pen work where you go like really detail. I know that Kathy Arbor, you really enjoy that. So I like that about this paper pad, that if you don't want to go in like super detail, you can skip a lot of things and still get yourself a drawing done. I actually got a guest book that I want to, when I'm finished working with these papers, I want to decorate the guest book with this paper pad and make it work as an art journal. I show that book in the beginning of my stream. Sorry for being a little bit quiet, but I'm trying to put in this value. So now I'm just thinking. We should dress her up at this moment so I won't go like totally crazy. Okay, what line work do we have? We have the focal point line giving us a triangle right here. So it goes from the center, which is there, and then we have that long line going from here all the way over here. So can you see that we actually have this triangle right here? So I'm thinking about using that triangle. The triangle I'm talking about is this triangle right here. So if I use that to sketch out her dress, I would know that her dress should not come further out than here. Maybe all the way up here. And it definitely should end touching that line. Can we work with that? Okay. I need her dress to be in this oval shape right here. Now I just need to shape it up to make it work. But I got a designated area where within my thought of composition where the dress could belong. So I'm simply going to just work with that oval shape. And to me, honestly, it looks off. You know what I mean? Like it looks like that's not right. I need to take off that um, new color because even though her dress is semi-transparent, I don't want that much ochre to shine through. So I'm just lifting off her legs. And then I need it to dry because it is like copy paper. So I would totally peel it and ruin the texture if I continue on a moist paper. So I'm just gonna use a heat gun. Okay. Because I'm working on copy paper, I think I would give myself a coat of gesso. This coat will help my brain to see because to me it looked off. You know what I mean? Like, but now where I'm coating it in with the gesso, I can kind of see it. And it's so important that you can visualize things. And that's why I suck at painting flowers, especially roses. I can't visualize the petals, they disappear in their own pattern. So, it's important for me to be able to visualize that it's possible. so, so that's why I'm using the gesso to help me visualize that it's okay for the dress to have this funky oval shape. What is wrong with my light? Oh, I suddenly realized that you guys are not seeing the same that I'm seeing. Let me mess with the setting of my camera for just a second. Let me see. Hmm, maybe more contrast. Hmm, maybe it's a little bit better. But you know what, guys? I think what would enhance your view is if I jump ahead a lot of steps and then do some color to the background, because then it would be more fun for you guys to see what I'm doing. So let me just quickly work on the background, get in some values in this area so you actually can see what I'm doing. And to do that, I have to work with the texture of the paper. And it seems like there is a lot of linear work. So just to give me a starter, I'm going to carry on those lines that comes from the pattern paper. And it's going to take a little while, but it's worth it. it gives a more cohesive look in the end. So hopefully it won't be like I'm working on scraps of paper. It will look in the end like, you know, one one page spread meant to go together. I have grabbed an Inktense pencil because I feel that when I dilute it with water, I may be able to get a line that's kind of stay put on the paper and will not lose its color intensity. I know it's water soluble, but it's still like strong and bright pigment. Okay, now we got the line work with an Inktense, so that's staying put. Now we need to figure out what kind of color that they use. I see a little bit of green in it. So in sporadic places, I'm simply just taking my Neo 2s and putting in that green. I also spot a very warm gray. So I'm going to take a warm gray. And now comes the dirty part. Remember that I had a brush, a flat brush that I applied the gesso with? I got it dipped in water, so there is a little bit of that gesso left on my brush. So I'm simply just taking that wet brush to dilute the lines with. I'm not even caring that it's like a little bit contaminated with some wet gesso because we got that white surface anyway. Okay, what I love about this paper collection is that it's got a lot of like splatters. So I'm just gonna grab my watercolors and then put some splatters on the background. I got a palette from Paul Rubens with some paints in it that's a little bit shimmery. So I like that little bit touch of glitter. What I'm going to do is to make myself a puddle of two colors. One that's got like this sage greenish, and then one that got like I can see it's got like brown, light brown splatters. So I'm simply just gonna give myself two puddles. And I am going to make some splatter, but first I want to make some controlled I'm gonna practice over here. Yeah, I want to make some controlled puddles of patina. And why I'm doing this is because earlier in this glue book, do you remember I was talking about story? The way you can add story to items is to give it some patina, like worn down use. So I'm sticking to that theory that instead of having a pristine modern white background, I want to add some stories. And of course, if I had like tons of times, I would also work in some of the brickwork. But now where, you know, I'm streaming and I just gonna settle with this. So in random places, I'm hoping to make these patina things which has this very important job to bind the whole page together as one piece of journal spread. So wherever I can, I'm putting in this patina, hoping that it will marry my scrap pieces together. So even though it started as two ripped up pages, and I hope that it will come together. I'm doing an awful job trying to talk and paint and think at the same time. And now I go in with the sage green to make my splatters. Why sage green? I have no idea. I just don't want my splatters to have the same color hue as my patina blobs. Okay, let me dry that with a heat gun so I don't bump in and disturb it on my next move. Are you guys still out there? Let me see. Uh, oh, thank you. Okay, now comes a very interesting part. Remember that we were working with a composition where we were supposed to have a triangle shape of light space on top of the drawing? Well, if we flip back to this one, this triangle space up here is supposed to be light. And then I'm supposed to put in some colors to enhance it on the rest of my drawing. So, with those lines in mind and without drawing them physically on my drawing, I will now go in and add some value to the background and trying to make it a little bit dark over here so it will make her ballerina skirt pop. And I think that I will go in with like a turquoise. I may get it to work or not. There's like, I don't know. I don't know if it will work. But I like the thought of it. I like the thought process of putting a glaze of a different tone to enhance that triangle bright space. I'm gonna put it a little bit heavy on the bottom here, and then I'm gonna try and mix it up with a brighter the further we comes into the top of the triangle. If I have any regrets, white gesso can push back what we're doing right now. Where to stop? Look at the line work. Are there any lines here? There is a center line here. So around this place right here, I could actually try and make it transition into a different color. In my case, I think I will take like a sage green, see if it works. What do we have in our palette? I got this one. That's an olive. And then I got that triangle. And then making it a little bit darker in the bottom here. I could do that with just going in with that blue, because blue and olive are, I want to say, family with each other. They don't make mud. So I'm gonna push my luck and take some of the blue over here. Let it marry some of the olive green. And then I'm taking my brush, the ones that got like residue from the gesso water. So it's going to be like a fabulous mix of just water and white, kind of a white gesso. And then because I'm working with a water soluble stick new color 2, I'm able to break up by lifting the lines, so I don't have like a very visible line. I got like a soft transition. Okay, now I hope to be able to carve out the body of our shape, and then also ballerina dress, so it will pop more. I know that I'm blocking out the white window and the white flowers, but it's because the only white highlight, the strong white, is going to be the highlight from her dress, right? We don't want anything to steal away that beautiful white highlight from her dress. So the rest of the white on this painting is going to be pushed back. And then I am going to have a little bit of color on the above here, just so it won't be so like, so I don't have, so I have some of the same color on top. It's hard to explain, how to talk. Okay, now I want to push back some of this, and the best way to do it is with gesso. Okay, I'm a little bit quiet. The gesso will, of course, dry up a little bit more transparent. So it looks like super white when you put it down, but then it kind of managed to dry up. Okay. You guys still there? Yeah. You forgot how much work a puppy is. But she looks so cute. Okay, now I think that I kind of got what I wanted. I got some background to make the dress skirt pop. And if I put in some highlights on the wooden figure, it will still pop. And my interest point is right there. I got my drawing to stop down here. So for me not to forget that this is where it's stopping, I think I should kind of mark it with some shadow lines, so at least I won't forget it. What can we do that with? Maybe the new colors? Okay, I got a ton of rulers here. Let us see. Because light is coming from here, I know that she would have a shadow going like this way from her toe picks. Now at least I won't forget that this is the floor, right? Okay, let me bring back the contrast, because you got like a crazy contrast. I think this is the closest to how the page is looking with my eyes. It's still soft. And because light is coming from here, it casts more light in this end of the room, and then this is kind of in shadow, so it's a little bit darker. So I think I will dig out my Neo 2s this week and play with them again. Yeah, you should. Yeah, they got a little bit of white sheen over them, but if you get used to that, it's a very likable crayon to work with. Okay, back to this. let me go in with an ochre, and then we can start to kind of make the new color twos wet so we can see more of the color on this wooden ballerina. Okay, let me wet her up. I think I would like to go in with a watercolor brush actually. As soon as I wet up this figure, I can see where I need the help of, I would call it negative painting, where I need to manipulate with the background to get a carved out shape. So I think it's funny when you're working in this way, how the way you put down your figure is a combination of negative painting, carving, and then putting in shadows inside the sketch lines, and then suddenly your imagination fills in the rest, and you got yourself a a figure. I'm pushing back this part here because I need her torso to be in this pink tutu fabric. Okay, now I want to dry it up because it's like really wet. But before I do so, I go in with the Inktense pencil because now the paper is wet, so I can really get those strong sketch lines in. Because even though it's a little bit shame to do it if you were supposed to make like a real figure out of this, I want this figure to, without a doubt, be one of those wooden figures. So I want to keep all the features of the wooden balls and the torso, the way it's built, because it's kind of like a theme in my book. I especially lost a lot of it down here on the legs. Okay, more gesso white here so we can put in the pink color. Hi, and Lar. Thank you for coming to my little stream here. I have been neglected my YouTube channel for, and suddenly 3 weeks passed, right? So I thought all weekend that I need to go on today. So I've kind of just jumped on. I'm working in my glue book where I'm using a paper pad collection from Stamperia, and it's been like a theme throughout my glue book that I'm using the same paper pad throughout the whole book, so it will end up hopefully being this cohesive um, look Okay, up here I want to emphasize that parallel line work, the skeleton half with the arms. And I also know that even though this wooden figure doesn't have like boobs, maybe we could manipulate a little bit of boobs just by doing like this. So I'm working with light, medium, and dark on this wooden figure. And you can just keep on pushing back and forth, um, until suddenly your eyes will tell you that, oh, I like that one. And then you just keep that line without disturbing it. And then slowly, before you know it, you have built yourself up um, something that you like to look at. And then you should stop. So sometimes some of the coatings are not perfect, but if I see something in it that I like, I just stop, because then I just trust that our brains will put in the gaps. Okay, I'm not satisfied with this down here. So the good thing about new color tools is that if they got tooth to work on, like gesso provides, I am actually able to use their white to go carve in some more highlights to make this area work. I also think that this right here should be like totally bright. Okay, I'm fiddling. Oops. Let me get this jar on correctly. Okay, now let's go in with the heat gun and just set the gesso. Oops. I would like to push back and forth with the three colors that I just laid on the table. And it's gonna be the ballerina dress. It could be awesome if it went down in like a V shape, like that. I'm trying to stay out of the edges of the dress. These 2 points right there, I want them to be the bright white ones. So I will try and burnish with the white neo color too and see how that looks. If we are lucky, it will bring out the illusion of this pink tool, but yet with a lot of white in it. And of course, we are a little bit messy here because I don't know, we just are. But up here, we would like to have like a feminine cut. I definitely know that I would love to bring out some sort of a hint of a chest, even though these wooden dolls don't really have a gender. So let's try and wet this up. See what happens. Where did my and then I need that strong color just a few places before I'm satisfied. White, white, white here. White up here at the collarbones. This area right here could be more white. Okay, now I'm simply just talking to myself. White right there. Right jawline. White, white. I think a little bit dark right there on her, is it called an armpit? Okay, I would say it's finished. Now it's going to be exciting to look at what we made and then have the thoughts of composition in the back of our head. I'm flipping back to this drawing here. This is the, what can you say, the the template for what we are doing. We have lines right here, a big cross where her composition is following the golden center line here. And then this woman is doing the same. She's following the curves of the page, and the oval shape of her dress is a combination of staying inside a triangle shape caused by the lines. So yeah, I would say mission is completed. This is according to the rules of composition. the most interesting way to put the door and the ballerina and the ephemera, the stuff, the clutter. Yeah, I kind of get it when I look at this page, because this page is a little bit boring if you just look at it by itself. But I kind of see how the composition makes it interesting, because we got this space up here of just white. Hmm. Yeah, I like it. What I dislike is this area right here where I got right in my focal, the place that's supposed to be the focal point. I got a very dark texture in the background. That's a little bit of a shame, but you can't have it all. So I can try and push it back a little bit with the white. But yeah, I kind of get the whole idea of this practice painting. So yeah, it looks dimensional. Oh, thank you so much. So yeah, thank you for watching today. It was quite a long stream. Oh, you love it. Thank you. Please. Okay, I need to work a little bit more with the shadow. Okay, I can always look at more that I want to do. but but please look at the beginning of my stream, so you kind of understand what kind of journal this is. This is not a regular journal. This is like a tool, a work tool. So then this stream would make sense why I'm talking about all these lines and stuff. So oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Kathy and Sandra and Kathy and Amber and Barb and Allie and Anlar. Do I have all of you? Thank you so much for coming to my stream, and I hope to see you all soon, because I want to do a flip through of my art on the couch uh, journal that I'm talking about here, where I'm working with images from washi tape because I'm lazy, but it kind of works out. So I'll be back. I'll be back. Have a very, very nice week to come. So, yep. Bye bye. I'm gonna sign off now. Hi, hi.